Hi there. My name is Danelle Putnam, and I am a deaconess. I am a missionary with the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod in the Dominican Republic. I've been here 14 years. And so today what I want to share with you is a dish that is very common here in the Dominican, and it is loved by our missionary kids especially. It is called Moro de Habichuelas Negras, or in other words, black beans and rice. And so I will have the recipe for you guys on the Pampered Chef page, and thanks so much for tuning in and for watching us. So let's get started. First we're going to use 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. I'm going to use coconut oil. And you're going to want to use a pot that has a thick or heavy bottom because the rice will need to cook a while, and that will help it to get a nice even cook. To the vegetable oil, we're going to add a half a cup of chopped onions and also a half a cup of yellow and red peppers. Normally this recipe calls for a Cuban pepper that is long and green and really mild, but since I'm on day 10 of quarantine, I don't have the green Cuban peppers. So we're doing with what we got. Anyway, we're gonna let that kind of saute there. And while that is sauteing, I'll just tell you a little bit about what I do as a deaconess here in the Dominican. I help with church planting, so I work with women, I work with the Sunday schools, and also we have a developmental disability ministry. We started a group home 10 years ago, and we have 6 kids that we took from the government orphanage who lived in the home with us for 9 years. So that is an effort to give a different model of care for people's developmental disability other than institutions. And as a deaconess, I also am involved in deaconess formation in 5 countries in our Latin and American region. So I train women in theology and practical mercy care for people in their congregations in the community. So I teach in Mexico, in Guatemala, I taught in Panama, the Dominican Republic, and remotely I help support teaching in Venezuela. So that's what I do. We're getting this nice and sauteed up there, as you can see. So to that, we're going to add half a teaspoon of salt. We're also going to add a teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of oregano, and a half a teaspoon of thyme. And we're going to mix that in. And if you go online, you guys can find recipes for this. It's a pretty common dish, and everybody kind of puts their own spin on it. For example, I usually put in cilantro, but I don't have any cilantro right now and I can't go out. I'm also going to put in 3 cloves of garlic. You can use a garlic paste, whatever that you might have, or whatever, however you like to use garlic. You can chop it up. That's getting going there. I'm just going to let that cook a little bit more, and I'm going to show you a Dominican tool that we use. It's kind of like a mortar and a pestle, and usually they put the garlic in here with rock salt, for example, and they'll mash that up with some oregano, and then they'll make a nice paste, and they'll throw that into their sazon is what they call it, their pot of food cooking. Now that we've got that nice and going good, I'm also going to add a little bit of pepper. Like I said, this is a dish that our missionary kids really like, so if you guys are looking for something to do with your kids, this will be a fun activity. And on the recipe, I put the Spanish words for your kids to read. It's pretty easy instructions for the most part. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a can of black beans. These happen to be black beans with coconut, because again, that's what I had. But you can use just black beans, you can use red beans. Red beans and rice is really common as well here. I drained those, but I saved the bean water, which has all that coconut flavor. I saved that, and I put that with the water that we're going to use to cook the rice with. So now I'm going to add a tablespoon of soy sauce, and I'm going to use liquid aminos, is what I'm going to use. And I'm also going to add a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce or Worcestershire sauce, however you like to say it. Tomato, tomato, potato, patata. Add a tablespoon of that. And a half a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. And you might ask, well, where does the vinegar come from? What's that about? In the Dominican, they have a sour orange that's sour like a lemon, and they use it in a lot of their cooking. So since I don't have that on hand, I used apple cider vinegar. And here I have the coconut milk and water combo. I usually use a 2-to-1 ratio, so 2 parts water, 1 part rice. So I am going to be using 1.5 cups of rice, so I have 3 cups of water there. You're going to want to bring this to a boil before you put the rice in. Give it a nice stir. And while we wait for that to boil, I'm just going to share a bit of the instructions with you so that you know how to cook it, the rice. Some of you maybe just use instant rice. I think that would work too. You just need to get all your ingredients in the water like this, get it to a boil, and then stick in your instant rice. I don't know about doing this in like Instant Pot, but I'm sure you could adapt a recipe and look for things online. So there's lots of different ways to do that. What we do in the Dominican is we put the rice in general and when it's boiled, and let it boil uncovered. You're gonna wanna bring it to a medium boil so the water doesn't boil off too fast and the rice has a chance to kind of soak up that water. Once the rice and the water are kind of at an even level, I usually cover my pot and I turn the flame down to the lowest I can. Then you just let it sit in there and it kind of cooks on its own steam. So it'll get nice and happy inside of there. You're gonna wanna avoid lifting the lid up a lot and seeing what's going on in there because you'll let all the steam out. So sometimes I'll just check it towards the end of about 15 minutes. I'll see how my water level is. You may need to add a bit more water in case the rice is still a bit raw or hard. Also, the rice does tend to stick to the pot. That's okay. That's kind of normal here, and that's fine. Sometimes it'll stick to the pot, but you don't have to necessarily worry about it burning. But that's why you want a really a heavy pot if you have one. I'm using a pot that we have every Dominican has one of these in their kitchen. It's a really tough, thick aluminum pot, and that's what we use to cook here. So this is about to boil. It's coming to a boil along the sides. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my rice. I did not make a cup and a half of rice. I'm gonna stir that in and let that boil. And like I said, once the water and the rice are kind of at even level, once the rice has soaked the water up, turn your flame down to the lowest possible, or put your electric stove on the lowest setting possible and cover the rice up. So I'm gonna let you guys go for now, and then we'll check in later, and I will have the rest of the dish prepared for you. I'm going to serve it with with fish, but you can serve this with really any type of chicken, pork, or beef that you like. And then I'll also talk a little bit about the history of the name Moro con Habichuelas Negras. So I'll talk about that when we come back. Bye.